Hi everyone, welcome to the second webinar of a series of webinars conducted by TCS Online in lieu of the upcoming SCS examinations, strategic case study examinations happening in May and August 2022. As you already know, your pre-scene was released, and in this webinar, I will be taking you through the pre-scene document. So not the entire pre-scene document, please be mindful about it. I'm just looking at one part of the pre-scene. So before we get into the pre-scene analysis, let me talk about what we discussed in webinar number 1. I highlighted what you need to do in order to prepare yourself for the SCS examination. So if you had missed that webinar, I invite you to go to our website, and under the free content tab, you would have access to the recorded session of webinar number 1. So I would urge you to go through that because it has important information about what you need to do before you kickstart your studies for SCS. So that's what we did in webinar number 1. In today's session, let's try to figure out what we are trying to do. So session outcomes are today's session is divided into 3 main areas. Give me a second, please, guys. So many people are logging in. I have to admit them. Right. Okay. So in today's session, as I stipulated earlier, it's divided into 3 main areas. First things first, I'm going to carry out an industry analysis. Please remember that this industry analysis is based on real life dynamics, or the facts and figures which are applicable to the real industry. And in the industry analysis, what I'm going to discuss tonight does not consist of information which appears or which is taken from the pre-scene document. Please be mindful about it. Instead, I'm looking at the real life facts and figures which are applicable to your industry. So that's an industry analysis. And in the second part, the most important part, in the second part, I'll be talking about how to apply apply knowledge gained from the pre-scene document, because especially since you're at the strategic case study level now, this is the last hurdle which you need to clear in order to become a CIMA member. So in such a context, you need to understand how you are supposed to bring in information. Oops. Give me a second, please, guys. Oh no. I think someone's mic is not on mute. I hope you guys can mute your mics. Give me a second, please, guys. Right. So sorry about the disturbance. So in the second part of today's webinar, I will be talking about pre-scene application, how to bring in knowledge from the pre-scene, because as a senior finance manager, you are supposed to play the role of a senior finance manager. As a senior finance manager of a company, you need to have a good understanding about the information given in the pre-scene, as well as you need to understand the industry dynamics. So I'll be talking about it later. And the most important part is the third part, where I'll be conducting a pre-scene analysis looking at company operations part 1. Having said that, let's move on to the industry analysis. So let's try to figure out why you are supposed to be conversant with industry dynamics. You are required to be familiar with the industry, but need not be an industry expert. So the examiner does not want you to do an extensive industry analysis. The examiner does not want you to read too many additional material pertaining to the industry information. Just having a basic idea about the technicalities or the nitty-gritties pertaining to your industry would help. Okay, so you're not supposed to become an industry expert. However, you need to have a generic idea about what happens within the industry. The purpose of an industry analysis is to develop a broader understanding of the industry in which the company operates, which will help you construct sound arguments and prepare for possible developments in the exam. So why am I conducting an industry analysis before I take you through the Prescene analysis? By understanding the technical nitty-gritties or the technicalities or the dynamics within the industry, you can predict what type of questions might come your way at the real exam, what type of scenarios will come your way in the real exam. So that's why we are conducting an industry analysis. So first things first, let's look at the market definition. In order to understand any type of industry, first you need to understand the definition about the market. Okay, so this is this market in which our company Snakwheel operates is known as a platform to consumer delivery market. So platform to consumer delivery market. So let's try to figure out what this is about. This is a food delivery business model where companies are providing online delivery of food to customers. So, in real life, in a real life situation, a company such as Uber is closely related to what Snakwheel is doing. Okay, so that's that. And meals are prepared by partner restaurants. So, Uber does not cook their own meals. Instead, what they do is they had aligned themselves with partner restaurants and they get their meals prepared. Uber is involved with delivering it. Okay, and platforms provide delivery services. Yes, so as I told you earlier, cooking is handled by a third-party restaurant or a partner restaurant. However, our company is involved with delivering what is cooked to customers. And platforms typically use apps and websites to connect customers and partner restaurants. Since we are in the fourth industrial revolution, definitely our customers are using digital apps, and we had offered digital apps with the aim of fulfilling the needs of customers instantaneously and conveniently. So that's the market definition. That's where we are operating. Let's try to figure out the real life market dynamics. The market is valued at US dollars 215 billion in 2021. Okay. Another person is joining in. Okay, and the market is forecasted to grow to US dollars 300 billion by 2026. So in another 4 years time, the market size is going to increase to $300 billion. A significant growth is expected. So the forecasted growth is 8.5% by 2026. And demand has significantly increased due to the pandemic, because although people were at home, although they started cooking their own meals, after some time they got fed up of it. So because of that, the demand for food delivery platforms had increased exponentially during the pandemic. So that had been good for the market. And what drives the market? What are the major market drivers? Busy lifestyles of Gen Y and Gen Z customers, as well as convenience. Okay, so if I give me a second, please, I need to mute this individual. Okay, so if I talk about the market drivers, mostly consumers who are considered to be part and parcel of Generation Y and Z are utilizing services offered by food delivery platforms. Okay, and what are they looking for? Because of their busy lifestyles, because they are running their own businesses, because they are involved with the corporate sector, they stick to a strict routine, and they cannot find time to cook during this routine because of their busy lifestyle. So in such a context, in order to fulfill their food related needs, Gen Y and Gen Z customers use food delivery platforms, and they are always looking for convenience pertaining to time saving, because they need not cook or go grocery shopping if you can purchase your food from a food delivery platform. And consumer choice in food purchasing. Yes, consumers have various different choices, and nobody wants to eat the same meal each and every day. So in such a context, rather than going through the hassle of cooking something at home, you can order from any restaurant you want through an online platform. Okay, so let's look at the largest markets by revenue. North America is considered to be the largest market, and the second largest market is Europe, and the fastest growing market is in Asia Pacific. And the major players in the industry are DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Deliveroo, Postmates, and whatnot. There are so many food delivery platforms out there. I've only mentioned the largest ones. So let's look at the competitive landscape. There's a presence of various regional and global players. So there are global players such as Uber, which operates in multiple countries. On the other hand, there are local players who are only focused on the current market in which they operate. Okay, and when it comes to competing with each other, companies compete, or food delivery platforms compete on geographic coverage, because higher the geographic coverage, higher the potential for sales. And on top of that, a company such as Uber, which has a global presence, can easily drive sales, because everybody knows what Uber is. And with this reputation as a global player, customers tend to trust you. So that's a means of competing with each other. And commissions paid to partner restaurants. So I said that the food delivery platforms cannot survive without the partner restaurants. So in order to attract and retain past partner restaurants, in order to collaborate closely with partner restaurants, food delivery platforms try to pay better commissions. So if you pay a better commission, a partner restaurant will only supply to you. Okay, so that's that. And driver compensation. So these are another set of important stakeholders who are involved with the industry. You need drivers, or you need riders to deliver the food. So in order to attract and retain your riders, or in order to attract and retain your drivers, it's better if you can pay a higher commission compared to the market rate. Okay, so you can compete on that by paying a bit higher than the market. Then companies, food delivery platforms, spend a lot of money on marketing. They compete directly by marketing. And major players or global players within the industry, they spend a significant amount of money on digital marketing. Okay, and they also compete on the functionality of the app. So this type of an area can be tested in your exam. Okay, so apps need to be user friendly. It needs to provide a lag-free experience, and these apps should provide utmost levels of convenience to customers. And these food delivery platforms provide additional offerings as well. So on top of delivering food, what they do is they can offer grocery deliveries as well, providing additional convenience to customers. And by doing that, you can attract and retain customers. So that's about how these companies compete with each other. And major players pursue international expansion via acquisition of small players. So most of the large or global food delivery platforms, what they do is, in order to expand their business, they acquire smaller players, especially in the Asia Pacific region. And on top of that, they expand to high income countries. Why are they hell-bent on moving into high income countries? Because higher the level of disposable income within the economy, higher the potential for sales. Because when you are dealing with customers who are wealthy, they won't think twice when it comes to using services offered by food delivery platforms. Okay, so it offers you significant business potential if you are located within a high income country. So most food delivery platforms can be seen to move into rich countries in the Asia Pacific. They are moving into Central and South Americas, and on top of that, they are moving into Middle East and Africa. Why? Because mainly these food delivery platforms are dealing with fast food. The demand for fast food is dropping in America and Europe. However, in the other regions, in the Asia Pacific, Central and South Americas, Middle East and Africa, the demand for fast food is growing. So when the demand for it grows, so does the demand for food delivery platforms. So that's the competitive landscape. Then looking at the market share of major players, the largest player within the market is DoorDash. closely trailed by Uber Eats, and the other competitors are there as well. Then looking at how these food delivery platforms segment their market, they segment by service, okay, and segment by product. There are customers who are into meat related food consumption. There are vegetarians, vegans, who are customers who are interested in consuming gluten-free food. And there is a niche market when it comes to customizing dishes as well. Not all customers opt for it, but there's a small market when it comes to customization. Then the major players segment the market by platform, because consumers purchase our products or utilize our services through the apps as well as our websites. And you can segment the market by the end users, because the users, depending on their lifestyle, or depending on their age category, or what they do, their needs when it comes to food consumption differs significantly. So bachelors have a separate set of needs compared to a family where you get 3 or 4 people. So in such a context, the way in which you place orders, or the type of products you consume, or type of food you consume, could be totally different to a bachelor. And newly married couples are considered as a different market segment as well. And these players segment their markets geographically as well. So they are in North America, Europe, Asia Pacific, Central and South Americas, Middle East and Africa. And in all these regions, the needs of customers, the tastes of customers are significantly different to each other. Okay, so that's how segmentation occurs. Let's look at the industry trends. There are 2 different types of online platforms. Okay, these 2 platforms are known as aggregators and new delivery services. So let's first look at who aggregators are. These aggregators provide access to multiple restaurants via a single online portal. Okay, and the delivery is handled by restaurants. So these aggregators are just a set of middlemen who are providing some type of a convenience to restaurants and customers, who are actually the link between restaurants and customers. So they are sharing information about what the type of food prepared by restaurants, and that's it. Your services stop right there. Deliver. So the restaurants cook their own food, and deliveries are handled by the restaurants as well. So these are the aggregators. And the next type of delivery platform is known as new delivery platforms. These provide access to multiple restaurants via a single online portal, just like the aggregators. However, delivery is handled by the platform provider. So that's where we fall in. That's where Snakwheel falls in. We are considered as a new delivery service provider. We are not considered as an aggregator. And platforms are known to be sticky. 80% of customers stick with the same platform. So there's high levels of loyalty. So once you download or start using a certain food delivery platforms services, you do not shift to something else, because customers tend to trust only one food delivery platform. Once you download it, you keep on using it for a long period of time, unless otherwise you are experienced with certain issues with the app. Okay, so platforms are sticky. So food delivery platforms need to make sure that this high levels of customer loyalty is maintained. Okay, you cannot end up losing customers, because if you lose a customer, you cannot convince the customer to come back to your platform. Okay, so please be mindful of it, because this type of an issue can be tested at the exam. And looking at the delivery speed, optimal wait time is 60 minutes. So you need to stick to this delivery time, or else your customers are going to get pissed. And orders spike during weekends. That's very typical, because during the weekend, people do not want to cook. So they use and they are fulfilling their recreational needs during the weekend. So in such a context, they are looking for convenience in food consumption. Because of that, the demand for food delivery platforms spike in the weekend, and order placements. Majority of the customers place their orders from home. 82% of customers place orders from home, and 16% place orders from the workplace. Let's look at the emerging trends. Let's try to figure out what is gonna change within the market in the future. Menu engineering is picking up, enabling customized orders, because nowadays Gen Y and Gen Z consumers are always looking for a high level of customization. So that is going to be a norm within the industry in the future. Okay, you can drive significant competitive advantage if you can offer menu engineering related services. And within the food delivery industry, you get another business model which is known as dark kitchens. You call them ghost chickens, not chickens, kitchens to be precise, dark kitchens or ghost kitchens as well. This is a situation where platforms are providing, food delivery platforms are providing kitchen infrastructure to multiple restaurants. So all this time I was talking about Uber. Uber runs their own dark kitchen. So what happens is, now previously what happened within the industry was restaurants had their own infrastructure, and they prepared meals, and these food delivery platforms were connecting customers with the restaurants, and on top of that providing delivery services. But now the major players within the industry had gone a step further. They had built their own kitchen infrastructure, and after you build your kitchen, what you do is you rent it out to multiple restaurants. So in one single dark kitchen, you might see 5 or 6 major restaurants working at the same time. You rent it out to these guys, and because of these dark kitchens, the efficiency in food preparation had significantly increased. Why? Because restaurants previously, they had to have kitchen infrastructure as well as a separate space for dine-in customers. However, that's not there anymore. You don't need to fulfill needs of dine-in customers when you are operating within a dark kitchen. So in a dark kitchen, only kitchen infrastructure is there. And usually these dark kitchens are owned by platform providers, food delivery platforms. And on top of that, this is an additional revenue stream for food delivery service providers. And as I told you earlier, Uber runs their own set of dark kitchens. So kitchen infrastructure is rented out to several different major restaurants. And virtual brands has enabled restaurants sell food in large geographical areas. Yes, because you can order from any restaurant, and the delivery partner will handle delivery. So we are offering a lot of convenience to customers, and on top of that, businesses can significantly grow their revenues. And the restaurants have become tiny, and it will become tinier in the future because of the food delivery, because of services offered by food delivery platforms. Restaurants occupying a smaller space as opposed to traditional dine-in outlets, because as I told you earlier, you need not fulfill needs of dine-in customers when they are ready to consume food at home. Okay, and brand spin-offs are there, where certain major restaurants targeting new demographics. So major restaurants are trying to fulfill needs in niche markets, and this has been enabled because of food delivery platforms. And there are consolidation points as well, enabling ordering from multiple restaurants in a single order. So you whilst placing your order, customers have the convenience of selecting multiple restaurants. Okay, so that's all good. We can drive competitive advantage, and in the future all delivery platforms will have this service. And there's virtual concierge as well, combining food delivery with other type of deliveries, such as picking up groceries while delivering food. You do this to offer a high level of convenience to customers, thereby stand out from the competitors. Having said that, let's look at real world examples. I've considered 2 companies. Company number 1 is DoorDash. This is the largest player by revenue. Their revenues amount to $4.88 billion last year, and their mission is to grow and empower local economies. So you can see that there's a tendency to look at sustainability, because you are in the mission statement. DoorDash is talking about empowering local economies. So they are talking about their employees, delivery partners, restaurants, and the well-being of consumers. Okay, so that's a good mission statement to have, covering a lot of stakeholders. Then key information: this company was established in 2013. It had served over 25 million customers up to now, and it employs over 1 million couriers or delivery partners or riders, and they are connected with 750,000 merchants or restaurants, and over 2 billion orders have been processed so far. Okay, so that's DoorDash. Then let's look at Uber Eats. This is the second largest player by revenue. So the revenue is $4.8 billion last year. Mission is to make eating well effortless for everyone, everywhere. Okay, because as a food delivery platform, I said we are hell-bent on providing convenience to customers. So that can be seen in the mission statement of Uber Eats. So let's look at the key information. Established in 2014, has served over 20 million customers. There are about 1 million couriers, and Uber Eats is connected with 700,000 plus merchants or restaurants, and over 1.6 billion orders has been processed so far. So you can see this significant potential to grow in the future within this industry. All right, so any questions, guys? Did you guys understand what I was suggesting? Any questions before we move on to the second part of today's webinar? If you have any questions, you can post it on the chat. Okay, seems like there aren't any questions. So I'm gonna move on to the second part of today's session, where I'm gonna talk about how you are supposed to, bring in knowledge from the Prescene document. So how to apply information taken from the Prescene. So what's the right approach? You need to know your key information. I do not expect you to go through the Prescene and memorize all the points, because there's generic points as well as main points, and in my annotated Prescene which I've prepared, you would see the annotated Prescene in a while. In that, I've highlighted the main points, so that it's easier for you to remember stuff. Okay, remember information. You need to understand key information, such as example, Snakwheel manages their own data center. So rather than having to go through the Prescene document on multiple locations at the exam, it's better to remember the key information. So I've made your life easier. If you go through our annotated Prescene, it highlights all the information you need to know in a concise and precise manner. And you need to carry out a ratio analysis. You need to remember the key ratios. Again, I've got you covered here, because we had prepared a separate set of slides for financial analysis. So I've conducted horizontal analysis based on the statement of profit and loss, statement of financial position, and statement of changes in equity. And on top of that, I've conducted a ratio analysis, not just based on Snakwheel, but since the examiner has provided us the financial statements of our closest competitor, I've conducted a horizontal analysis as well as a ratio analysis. So just go through that document, and on top of that, I'm providing some videos, 4 videos to be precise, and in the 4th video, I'll be covering a financial analysis. Okay, so just watch the video and go through our slides, then you know the main numbers or the ratios you need to remember, and prepare for possible scenarios, but be open-minded. So although you go through an industry analysis after going through the Prescene videos, we can predict what type of scenarios can be tested in the exam. However, You're not supposed to be, too concerned about predictions or scenarios which can be tested in the exam. You have to be open-minded. Why? Because you are replicating. The examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment. You are supposed to play the role of a senior finance manager. And as a senior finance manager, when you go to work, let's assume that you go to work on Monday, you won't know what type of an email you would get from the finance director or the CFO. You won't know what type of problems the company will face and what type of solutions you are supposed to provide for any of the issues faced by the company. Okay, you would only know it once you go to office. Okay, so when working in a corporate environment, you can't predict what is going to happen in the future. Because of that, you have to be open-minded. So the same philosophy or the methodology needs to be utilized when you are going to the exam as well. You have to be always open-minded. You need to think that you are working for this company as a senior finance manager, and be involved with practical decision making. The scenario presented in the exam exam consists of latest information. So as part of a Prescene document, the examiner gives you an indication about the history of the company, what happens within several different departments of the company. The examiner highlights the main stakeholders and what their levels of interests are, whether they are powerful or not. And on top of that, the examiner gives you an indication about the type of corporate leadership, the organizational structure, the vision, mission, and the value statements, the financial statements of the company, and the industry dynamics. Okay, so actually speaking, the examiner gives you an indication about what has happened in the past within the organization. So when you go to the exam, you would be presented with current information. Okay, so by going through the Prescene, you would know about what the company stands for, what it had been doing in the past. All these things are there. What happens within the industry, what are the major industry drivers, all these things, all this information will be there. Just knowing the Prescene won't help you. You need to know, how to apply your knowledge, pertaining to E3, P3, and F3 related areas taken from these areas, and how you can apply knowledge to current issues faced by the company. So you would understand how to do these things properly if you attend the next webinar, which is happening next Sunday, where I'll be talking about answering technique. Right. So when you are referring to Prescene information in your answers, refer or cite in a way that it adds value to the point you are presenting in the answer. Okay, do not try too hard to show the marker that you have studied the Prescene. Yes, so please be mindful about it. When bringing in information from the Prescene, always think whether it adds value to your answer. Always think whether the information which you are bringing in from the Prescene, whether it's actually relevant to the considered task. If you feel that the example which you're going to provide or the information which you're going to take from the Prescene is not too relevant to the task, or if you feel that it does not add any value, don't include it. Okay, so please be mindful about it. So I'll highlight how you are supposed to do it, as I told you, in our third webinar, which is happening next Sunday. And you can also identify how to do it by referring to suggested answers of mock exams. We at TCS provide 5 mock exams and 5 suggested answers. And after you go through the suggested answer, you would figure out how you can do this. Right. So then on top of all these things, you need to know how to deal with E3, F3, and P3 related syllabus content, because the main idea about the strategic case study is for the exam. The examiner is trying to figure out whether you have the ability to apply knowledge gained through E3, F3, and P3. So prepare for application of theories or concepts. When applying theories and concepts, you are not supposed to name the concepts. So for instance, if you are analyzing your stakeholders, you are supposed to use the Mendelov matrix. However, you are not supposed to mention it in your answers, because the examiner, as I told you earlier, is trying to create a real life corporate environment. So in a real life corporate environment, if your finance director or your CFO is asking about stakeholder management, you won't provide highly theoretical answers, referring to Mendelov matrix and whatnot. You would provide practical answers instead. So you need to have a good knowledge about theories, but you need to apply it in a practical sense. Minimal interpretation of figures or numbers. You are not supposed to do any major calculations because at the strategic level, calculations are extremely minimal. There could be a scenario where you'd have to rework the gearing ratio. Other than that, you won't encounter any calculations. So that's all good. Do not skip any topics when studying E3, F3, and P3 areas. Please be mindful that higher level of weightage is provided for E3 related areas. And second comes P3, and the least amount of significance is provided for P3. However, the least amount of significance is provided for F3. However, that does not mean that you should skip F3. You have to go through all syllabus areas because anything can be tested at your examination. And do not rely on predictions, as any area can be examined. So I've seen, so many tutors out there saying that, this type of a scenario can be definitely tested. You can't predict what will come in your exam. So don't think too much about predictions because any area can be tested. Right. So before we move on to the third part of today's session, let me talk about the services which we are offering at TCS. So we offer two main packages, the Essential Pack and the Value Pack. The Essential Pack consists of full Prescene analysis videos. So you get access to 4 videos. In video number 1, I've conducted an industry analysis. In video number 2 and 3, I've highlighted company operations. And in video number 4, I've conducted a financial analysis. So these videos, going through these videos would ensure that you know everything about what is stipulated in the Prescene. Okay. And on top of that, you'd gain access to something called an annotated Prescene. And today's, Prescene analysis is based on this annotated Prescene. As I highlighted earlier, in this annotated Prescene, all the information is stipulated in a concise and precise manner so that you can remember the main points, and you need not go through the Prescene when you are attempting the real exam. And there are a separate set of slides for industry analysis. Okay. And the most important service which we are offering under this product are the 5 exam standard mock exams and suggested answers. So I've prepared 5. I myself prepared these 5 mock exams and suggested answers, and I've made sure to cover all syllabus areas so that you guys are prepared for anything pertaining to E3, F3, and P3 related study content. And there are a separate set of slides for financial analysis. I've highlighted the top 20 likely issues which can be tested, but you need not dwell too much on it. Okay. And there's an SCS familiarization kit if you are doing the strategic case study examination, especially if you're coming through the gateway routes or the FLP route, the exemption route, then you need to go through this SCS familiarization kit. And on top of that, you need you have access to the WhatsApp discussion forum, and we offer a pass guarantee. Our pass rate for SCS is 100% so far. However, if by any chance you fail, that is not going to happen. But if you end up failing the examination, you would have access to the subsequent session free of charge, and your investment is going to be £99. So that's the Essential Pack. Then let's move on to the second pack, which is considered as the Value Pack. So you would gain all types of material which was stipulated under the Essential Pack. On top of that, you would gain access to an online mock exam platform. So you can attempt all your 5 mocks in our own mock exam platform, which is akin to the Pearson VUE system. So it's better to accustom yourself with the online mock exam platform, because once you practice there, psychologically you are ready or you are prepared to face the examination, so you won't panic unnecessarily when trying to use the Pearson system. So that's that. And we are offering professional marking and feedback on 3 mocks. So mocks, I myself is providing personalized feedback to you. I will show you some sample material later to show what type of feedback we provide. So feedback will be provided for mocks 3, 4, and 5. And we are offering theory recaps for E3, F3, and P3 related areas. So I would suggest you go for the value pack if you're coming through the FLP route, because you need personalized attention and guidance, especially since you have not studied E3, F3, and P3 related content thoroughly. And on top of that, if you are returning to CIMA studies after a prolonged study break, or if you did not fare too well in the OTQ exams, then I would suggest that you go for the value pack, because you can discuss with a tutor and gain and get personalized attention, and the investment is going to be £199. So having said that, let's move on to the Prescene analysis, the most important part of tonight's session. So this is your Prescene. So I'm going to carry out the Prescene analysis based on the annotated Prescene which we had prepared. So first things first, let's move on to the introduction. Snakwheel is the company which is relevant for the case studies in May and August 2022. Snakwheel is a quoted company that facilitates home deliveries on behalf of fast food companies. Okay, so Snakwheel, the major competitors of Snakwheel are Munch Bike and Truck Bites. This information is provided later on in this Prescene itself, and these major competitors are considered as substitutes within the market. And Snakwheel is a quoted company. So the pros of being a quoted company is there's better reputation and greater access to capital, because you can easily raise debt finance or equity finance, okay, which are considered as strengths. And the major drawbacks of being a quoted company is you have compliance requirements. Okay, you need to adhere to these compliance requirements, and especially there's shareholder pressure. You can't take your decisions on your own. You can't take decisions on your own. You have to rely on shareholders. You need to communicate with them. So these are the disadvantages. And you are playing the role of a senior finance manager in Snakwheel's finance function. So as a senior finance manager, you are involved with long-term decision making, because you are directly reporting to the CFO, Chief Financial Officer. Okay, so as you already know, there are 3 main areas within a typical organization, or a typical organizational hierarchy. At the very top, you get the strategic level. Then you get the tactical or the middle management, managerial level, and at the very end you get the operational level. So you are reporting directly to the CFO. That means you are involved with strategic decision making. You are involved with long-term decision making. So there's a higher level of strategic focus. You are dealing directly with the board. You are supposed to understand the wider commercial context of every type of decision which you are taking. You are supposed to, provide recommendations. Okay, and you are supposed to actively provide leadership as a senior finance manager. Okay, so you are not just dealing with finance related affairs. You are dealing with a multitude of stakeholders, and when dealing with these stakeholders, you are supposed to provide leadership as a senior finance manager. Snakwheel is based in West Area, a developed country that has an active and well-regulated stock exchange. So we are dealing with a developed country, so that's good for business, as I highlighted earlier. And the currency which is used is $. So since we are operating within a well-regulated stock exchange, we can assume that there are positive macro factors which provides us with significant opportunities. So there should be political stability, economic stability, the social and technological factors should be under control, since we are operating within a well-regulated stock exchange. Okay, so there could be a possible exam scenario pertaining to corporate governance and ethics. So definitely, as an individual who is involved with long-term decision making, you have to take ethical decisions at all times. Please be mindful, however much marks you score at the real exam, if there is one unethical recommendation you have provided, then you would end up failing the exam, because CIMA is extremely concerned about ethics in decision making. So please be mindful that you are supposed to provide only ethically sound decisions, and definitely corporate governance is tested at the strategic case study level. So that's an introduction. So let's move on to company operations. Let's try to figure out what happens within Snakwheel. Okay, Snakwheel was launched as Vestaria's first major home delivery platform in 2007. So we can see that the company has been operating since 2007. So the history of the company spans for 15 years. So we have significant exposure about the industry. So that's good for us. And we were quoted on the Vestarian Stock Exchange in 2016. Okay, and Snakwheel is considered to be the first major home delivery platform within the country. And if you look at real life dynamics at the moment, we are the largest food delivery platform. So that's a significant strength. We are the market leader. So as a market leader, you can drive sales significantly because you have a brand reputation. And at the inception, the founders of Snakwheel wanted to exploit a gap in the market, exploit a demand gap in the market. So since we were exploiting a demand gap, at the inception, the company was using freewheeling opportunism as a strategy formulation method. Snakwheel was using freewheeling opportunism at the inception. And what type of a demand gap was this company trying to exploit? Because there was when we started out 15 years back, online shopping was coming up. There was a high level of demand for fast food, and Snakwheel combined both these areas and started providing their services. And the company is focused on younger demographics. So I said, Gen, we are, the real, when we look at the real life dynamics within the industry, the industry is extremely concerned about Gen Y and Gen Z consumers. So these are the younger demographics. And looking at the operations of Snakwheel, we have 12,000 outlets at the moment. Catchment areas, 190 catchment areas, and we run our own dark kitchens, as I highlighted, and we run 23 dark kitchens. And we are dealing with 5 restaurant brands. So these are the restaurant partners. I highlighted about restaurant partners earlier. So it's better if we deal with major market players, major restaurant partners. So let's try to figure out the type of restaurant partners we deal with. We deal with a partner called Tasty Burger. That's the largest burger chain in Vestaria. So we are rubbing shoulders with the largest burger chain in the country, which is good for business, which is good for reputation, because we can share their reputation when doing business. And Tasty Burgers has 4,400 branches. It's a quoted company just like us. It's good to deal with a quoted company because we can benefit from their professionalism as well as reputation. And this company believes in innovation, so that's good for us. We, Snakwheel, believes in innovation as well. So there's an alignment in strategies or the values within the companies. And what would Tasty Burgers offer? They offer breakfast menus, main menus, desserts, and drinks. And let's look at the second restaurant partner which we work with. That's called Steam Pizza. This is the largest pizza restaurant in West Area. Again, we are dealing with the largest player within the market. They have 2,400 branches, and what do they offer? Pizzas, as well as drinks. Then we are dealing with sandwich manufacturer called Baguetto. Second largest chain in West Area. Again, we are dealing with a large player. They have 3,200 branches, and what are they offering? Sandwiches and drinks. And we are dealing with the fourth type of restaurant partner is known as Lusk Chicken, which is into selling fried chicken, something like KFC. Okay, so this is the second largest chain. Again, we are rubbing shoulders with a major player. They have 2,600 branches, and what are their offerings? Fried chicken, fries, drinks, as well as desserts. And we are dealing with a bakery related partner, which is known as Bonnigan's. They have 3,400 branches across the country. And what are they offering? Pastries, ready-made sandwiches, and cakes. So looking at all these information, the overall analysis is we are working with market leaders and large players, which is a significant strength for the company because it's good for our brand reputation. Okay, and it's good for revenue as well. And always remember that our revenue depends on derived demand. So if there's demand for restaurant partners or the food manufactured by restaurant partners, then our demand will increase. If the demand for fast food decreases within the country, then the demand for fast food platforms will decrease as well. So there's derived demand. And on top of that, in order to increase revenues in the future, we need to make sure that we have collaborative relationships, especially with restaurant partners. So if we can collaborate or communicate effectively, if we can share knowledge with restaurant partners, if we can try to drive efficiency by working together with restaurant partners, the demand for fast food will increase, and with that the demand for our fast kitchens or our dark kitchens, and on top of that, demand for food deliveries provided will increase significantly. Okay, there's a risk, however. Over reliance on restaurant partners exposes us to reputational operational risks. Yes, so we are dealing with 5 major partners. There's a high level of dependence because our sales depend on how much food is sold by restaurant partners. So this high level of dependence leads to reputational as well as operational risk. So for instance, if there was something wrong within one of the restaurants, that exposes us to operational risks. And on top of that, if there's something wrong within restaurants, then our reputation will be affected because we had partnered up with a restaurant which is considered as ineffective in the eyes of consumers. And at the moment, we are only operating within West Area. So as the largest player or the market leader, why can't we expand our operations globally? Definitely this type of a scenario can appear in your real exam. Okay, so be prepared for that. If we expand globally, Snakwheel will be exposed to country risk, legal risk, and foreign exchange risk. So please go through these syllabus areas, because this type of scenario will definitely appear in your examination. So you need to know how to handle country risk, legal risk, and forex risk. And if you purchase our products, you will definitely be accustomed with these type of questions, because I've included them as part of my 5 mock exams. Okay, so that's an overall analysis. So let's look at the IT systems within Snakwheel. Okay, because these IT systems are extremely important, because we are providing digital food delivery services. We are a digitalized food delivery platform, and we are connecting with a multitude of stakeholders through information systems. So we need to understand what type of an IT system is there within the company, and whether there are any inefficiencies. So let's look at the IT system. We have a highly integrated IT system connecting various different stakeholders. So if I talk about the stakeholders connected, they are our delivery partners or the riders, the restaurant partners, ourselves, as well as customers. So 4 main types of stakeholders are integrated through our IT systems. And when developing our IT systems, we aim to offer efficiency to customers. So the IT systems, by adopting IT, what we are trying to do is to achieve efficiency, reduce operational costs significantly. Okay, then let's look at the technicalities pertaining to the IT systems. We have our own data center, and within this data center, high-speed bandwidth or internet is used. And our data center has a real-time backup, which is good for business. If there are any data breaches, we need not, be worried too much about losing data. When we have a hot backup, we have a hot backup. And these IT systems enable that we integrate with our customers, restaurants, and couriers. So in this integration process, we are dealing with a multitude of stakeholders. So in such a context, it exposes us to data security risk. So expect a question on data security, expect a question on hacking attack. Again, if you go through our mock exams, I've covered these areas. And sales are driven via apps, basically, if our IT systems work properly, then our app would work properly as well. Okay, and restaurants receive orders via tablets, and as I told you earlier, we are integrating ourselves with the restaurants using our existing IT systems, and these restaurants can integrate with their own point of sale systems. Again, we are dealing with third-party systems, so our systems need to integrate, or should be integratable with somebody else's POS systems, and couriers use a different app. So we are using multitude of systems as well as applications, so our IT needs to be extremely strong. That's what I have to tell you. So let's look at the data centers. What happens within data centers? The data centers carry out two main functions. Function number one is with regards to managing the capacity, data capacity, and function number two is managing operations. So let's try to figure out what happens under each of these areas. Under capacity management, we are trying to track orders and dispatches, keep track of every order and dispatches to figure out whether order processing is done appropriately and dispatches are handled in the most efficient manner. All this related data is captured within our data databases or data center. Algorithms are used to estimate dispatch times, order allocation, delivery ranges, delays in orders, track courier availability, and sending courier invites. So algorithms are used to predict about so much of operations which occurs within the business. Why? Because in order to offer convenience to customers, as a digital delivery platform, we have to always make predictions. Okay, so all these predictions related, forecasting related data is captured within our data center again, and we are using our data center, as I told you earlier, for operations management, for order tracking and delivery tracking on a real-time basis. So the overall analysis is we are heavily dependent on our data center. So if there is an hacking attack, definitely we are exposed to major disruptions in operations. We are heavily dependent on internet bandwidth as well. However much efficiently our data center runs, if internet is down, then we cannot integrate with our stakeholders. There will be service disruption. So please be mindful about it. And we are heavily dependent on algorithms. So we have to make sure that these algorithms make accurate predictions at all times. Disruptions of any leads to business failure. So if our data center is disrupted, if internet bandwidth is disrupted, or algorithms are disrupted, it leads to significant business failure. And we are running a centrally owned data center, which is good for control and security. When we are running our own operations, we can easily control what happens within the business, what happens within our data centers. So I'm highlighting possible scenarios which can be tested in your exam. Definitely expect a question, because we are exposed to data risk. Okay, we are exposed to operational risks, and if there are certain issues, then again we are exposed to reputational and business risks as well. Okay, So this is a snapshot of the type of data center which we are using. You need not go through the technical nitty-gritties too much. Okay, what you need to understand is our data centers link us, our company, the courier smartphones, because the riders have their own smartphone, has their own app. So the data center aligns the courier smartphone, the customer smartphone, and restaurant tablets. Okay, so that's what the data center is up to. Let's try to figure out the type of software used by the company. Okay, so we are using a multitude of software when dealing with several different stakeholders. So when dealing with restaurant chains, we are using an online retail software, and the software is owned by Snakwheel. A license fee is paid when integrating restaurants tablets. So if for instance, if a restaurant partner opens up a new location, then we need to provide additional tablets, and every time these additional tablets are integrated to our main system, you have to pay a license fee, and routine maintenance is carried out by an IT consultant for a fee. Okay, and if this IT consultant screws up things, then definitely it exposes us to operational issues. And what are the functionalities of this software used within restaurant chains? They can be used, the software can be used to download custom orders, order placements can be tracked. And since we are dealing with 5 different restaurant partners, they are using their own systems, different systems. So we use 5 different systems due to integration issues. This could be a weakness because this leads to duplication of effort. However, it is highly practical for us to use different types of software when dealing with different types of restaurant partners. So probable inefficiencies in integration leads to issues, operational issues, because it exposes us to inefficiencies brought forth by duplication of effort. Okay, and let's look at the type of software we use to keep track of customers. Customers use our services via an app, and this app has been built in-house. So we can see that we have a strong set of IT employees because we had developed our own app without relying on a third party. So the functionality of this software is information sharing between customers and restaurants. So that's mainly why we use this software, to share information between restaurants and customers. Then couriers, when dealing with our couriers, we are using another different type of software. Again, we keep track of couriers via an app, and this app has been built in-house. And what are the functionalities? Tracking couriers to figure out whether they are doing their job properly, and informing couriers about collections and deliveries. So we are using it for tracking purposes as well as communication purposes. And I've conducted an overall analysis. Business operations heavily depend on the use of integrated software because all these, we are dealing with a multitude of software. We are using a separate software to link with customers, a separate software to link with courier service providers, and we are dealing with 5 different softwares when dealing with our restaurant partners. So we are heavily dependent on integrating these different types of software. A mix of in-house and third-party software development is used. So when it comes to dealing with customers and couriers, we had developed our own app. However, when dealing with restaurant chains, we are using services provided by a third party. Should we keep everything in-house or should we outsource? So expect questions relating to this area. Be prepared to discuss the relevance of either option. I would suggest that it's better to keep things in-house because we are doing our operations successfully. However, there could be an exam scenario where the company faces a certain operational issue. Because of that, the strategic leadership within the organization is looking for outsourcing. So in such a context, you should be there to provide recommendations. And there's a high level of interdependence between various stakeholders and software. So close collaboration with the stakeholders is key to avoid inefficiencies and conflicts. Okay, so please be mindful about these things. Data center records significant amounts of data. So let's try to figure out the type of data recorded by our data centers. Data centers are gathering information pertaining to delivery times, customer satisfaction. It's good to listen to your customers. So, customer satisfaction ratings are gathered within our data center. Ordering patterns, information pertaining to ordering patterns, customer tracking, weather condition tracking, payment requests, all these things are handled within our data center. Okay, and overall analysis is we are gathering a significant amount of data, current data, past data, as well as forecasted data. Data analytics improves decision making. So since we are gathering all this data, it's better if we can invest on data analysis or data analytics as well. The examiner has not given us any hint about the type of data analytics which occurs within the organization. So be prepared to highlight these facts in when providing answers in your exam. And we should uphold, when running our own data center, when dealing with different types of data, we have to make sure that we uphold data security, data privacy needs of consumers, as well as GDPR. Okay, so let's look at Snakwheel's couriers. We have 3,000 full-time employees as couriers, or the riders, delivery partners, and we are dealing with 23,000 independent contractors as well. Okay, order collections and deliveries are allocated via the app. So the link between us and the couriers, or the integration, is handled by the app which ourselves have prepared. The same application is used on all couriers, irrespective of whether a courier is a full-timer or an independent contractor. Okay, and performance evaluation, KPIs to keep track of performance of the couriers could be customer feedback and the efficiency of deliveries made, or the number of deliveries made within a stipulated time period and whatnot. Let's look at the full-timers. Okay, full-timers are supposed to work from morning until late afternoon. So they are working in shifts. They have to come to work on a stipulated time and leave work on a stipulated time. That's why we consider them to be full-timers. And this we keep track of these full-timers via our app. And the app is used to assign orders, assigning additional orders on the go, as well as to track couriers. And when it comes to paying our full-timers, we are reimbursing vehicle expenses. So riders are supposed to bring in their own vehicle and use it for delivery purposes. So let's assume a delivery partner brings in their own motorbike. So there are expenses which you need to spend to keep the motorbike running. So these vehicle expenses are reimbursed. So that's good for the full-timers. And these reimbursements are based on a standard rate per kilometer. Okay, so that's that. Let's look at the independent contractors. Independent contractors are involved with something called a flexible working arrangement. So like the full-timers, they are not supposed to come at a stipulated time and leave at a stipulated time. Their working arrangements or work arrangements are flexible. However, they should work at least 10 hours per week. So usually as independent contractors, you would see a lot of university students working for these companies. Okay, that's not highlighted in the pre-scene, but that's what happens in if you consider the real life industry dynamics. So since they are supposed to be involved with full-time studies, they can work only for 20 hours per week. So our independent contractors should work at least 10 hours per week. And when taking holidays, they should inform Snakwheel before taking holidays or sick leave, or else we will there will be inefficiencies in order placements. And preference is given to readily available contractors when allocating orders. And these guys are controlled via an app again. So let's try to figure out how we remunerate these guys. We are not reimbursing vehicle expenses because they are independent contractors. They are not full-timers. fixed fee is paid for delivery regardless of distance traveled or delivery time. So when it comes to remunerating our full-timers, what we do is we use a standard rate per kilometer. So if an individual goes for 5 kilometers, we would reimburse them that money amounting to 5 kilometers. However, when it comes to independent contractors, we are not paying a standard rate per kilometer. We are paying a fixed fee per delivery. So this type of remuneration system exposes us to technical difficulties or operational difficulties, because it could motivate couriers to not accept long distance deliveries, because irrespective of the kilometers you travel, you still get paid the same amount, because you get paid based on number of deliveries handled. So this is a major issue. So this could be tested in your exam. So be expected to see possible exam scenario pertaining to handling issues with couriers. Okay. And if you go through our mock exams, you'd figure out what type of answers you are supposed to provide when faced with such an issue. All right, so that brings us to the end of today's session. So before I end today's session, if you have any questions, you can switch on your mics and talk, or post it on the chat section. And in the meantime, let me take you through our website. So, invite you to visit our website, go to the SCS tab. And once you go to the SCS tab, you can see that you can click here to access free content. So please make use of these services. And on top of that, all these webinars which we are doing, the recorded versions are uploaded. And on top of that, we are offering you a mini mock and a suggested answer free of charge, so that you get accustomed to the type of questions which might be thrown at you at the real exam. Okay. And the Prescene analysis video, which is this video, will be uploaded along with the recorded sessions of the other 2 webinars as well. And our pass rate, as I highlighted earlier, is 100%. So you can directly purchase from the website, and all the FAQs are there. All sample material pertaining to all our materials provided, all the samples are in here within the FAQ section. So I expect you to go through these areas. Okay. And let me show you the type of personalized feedback which we provide. So we provide feedback on a paragraph by paragraph basis, and extensive feedback is provided. For instance, if you look at this answer, the student had just written 2 lines as an answer, but my feedback goes on for 2 paragraphs. Okay, so extensive feedback is provided, and at the very end, for each and every subtask, a mark allocation is provided, so that you can figure out where you had gone wrong, what you need to brush up on, and what not. And I will be providing general comments to further improve your answers as well. Okay, so that's what we offer, and I would actually highlight you to expect you to go through the blog posts as well, because these blog posts are extremely beneficial when it comes to understanding the technicalities of your strategic case study, and when it comes to understanding how to develop better answers, how to manage time appropriately, what type of answering technique you need to adhere to. So I expect you guys to go through these blog posts as well. Any questions, folks? Any questions about the Prescene?
Hello, hi, good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, hi.
Please, this is George.
Hi, George. Hi, what's up?
Yeah, I want to just find out, do I have access to the, what they call your website?
Yeah, you do. George,
the,
I think
with the,
you have already purchased, yeah. So I think an email has already been sent to you. You can use the same login credentials and log into
Okay.
your SCS essential pack, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Okay.
So
So that
yeah.
doesn't mean that the social case study is a pass mark cell 54.
Yeah, pass mark is 80 out of 150 or 54%. So George, I want you to go through webinar number 1 so that you would understand all these technical nitty-gritties. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome, George.
All right. Thank you.
Anybody else, guys? Any other questions? Any doubts or issues pertaining to the Prescene? Okay, seems like there aren't any questions. So, okay, something came through. All good. All right, Sophia, that's good to know. So you can contact us via our website, or you can simply send us an email or WhatsApp us. I hope you are already part of our WhatsApp group. If not, expect an email tomorrow. And I will be highlighting the link to the WhatsApp group. So please join the WhatsApp group so that you can collaborate with your colleagues. And on top of that, we are always there to help you if there is a certain syllabus area or any information pertaining to the Prescene which you need to brush up on. You can always contact us on WhatsApp. Then you can follow us on the social media handles as well. Especially I would expect you to go through our YouTube channel, because we are uploading our webinars to our YouTube channel. So please subscribe it if possible, and read through our blog posts, because all these blog posts are extremely essential. It provides essential information which will help you to pass the examination without hassle. Okay, another question came through. Please kindly make the annotated Prescene available to us. Yes, definitely. So if you, George, since you have purchased, the essential pack, if I'm not mistaken, you would have access to it. And all this material will be uploaded in a while. Okay, so, and all right, Abdul, thank you for the positive feedback. So Kanishka is asking a question: which subject topics should we focus more on? As I highlighted earlier, Kanishka, it's better if you can go through E3 a lot, because a higher weightage is provided for E3. Go through P3 as well. And on top of that, if possible, invest on our mock exams or on our products. Then after doing our mock exams, you need not really brush up knowledge pertaining to any areas, because I've covered all syllabus content in our 5 mock exams. Any other questions before we wrap up, guys? All right, seems like there aren't any questions. So thank you very much, guys, for joining in. I value your presence and attendance. Let me highlight about the 3rd webinar, which is going to happen next Sunday. I suggest you attend it live, because I'll be talking about answering technique. When providing answers, you need to manage your time appropriately. You need to structure your answers appropriately. So when doing these things, there's a certain methodology you need to adhere to. Out of the 60 minutes, at least 20 minutes should be allocated towards planning the answers, and the remaining time should be allocated towards typing. I will be talking about all these technical nitty-gritties at the next webinar, where I'll be discussing the answering technique. So thanks, guys. I'll see you guys next week. Good night and take care.